Hi, this is Guy Harris. Welcome to Talk Like a Leader. This week's episode is titled Avoiding Logical Fallacies, Ad Hominem, and Genetic. Now, these discussions about logical fallacies are what I would like to call lighthouse episodes. So I'm leaning a bit on my naval experience and going to the idea of a lighthouse is intended to be a warning that there are rocks or shoals or shallow water that you need to look out for. And it helps you from a navigational perspective to chart a safer course, to look out for danger, those sort of things. So a lighthouse is either a marker to help you find where you are, or a warning that there's a danger to look out for. In either case, a lighthouse is a helpful thing. And this series of episodes about logical fallacies is intended really as sort of a lighthouse. If it sounds negative or critical in some way or judgmental in some way, I really don't mean it that way. I intend these episodes as basically warning, hey, look out for this. And the truth is that all of us, including me, are prone to fall into these logical fallacies. Logical fallacies feel sort of good to embrace. They appeal to rather simplistic and easy ways of thinking about things. They appeal to certain thinking and psychological processes we have that are natural in human beings. So as I talk about these logical fallacies, I really don't mean to be critical of you if you slip into them, because let me acknowledge that I too slip into these logical fallacies. And by talking about them, I'm hoping to, one, remind myself to be more on guard for them, and two, to offer a warning to you. Pay attention to this, because if you look out for this, it'll help you in your leadership efforts, in your efforts to persuade and influence other people, in your efforts to lead in a positive and productive direction. So let's get on with avoiding logical fallacies, ad hominem and genetic. Let's first define what they are. The ad hominem attack, or the ad hominem perspective, the ad hominem argument or way of thinking it's a shortened phrase from the Latin phrase argumentum ad hominem, or ad hominem. And argumentum ad hominem means argument to or against or about the person. It's a way of thinking about problems, about ideas, about situations framed around the person who has the idea or the perspective or the results. So an ad hominem perspective, an ad hominem attack, an ad hominem comment is an argument or a reaction of some kind that is about the person who offered an idea or achieved a certain result. So it's directed at the person. The second fallacy we're going to talk about today, and these are really connected, is the genetic fallacy. And it's the idea or the concept that we either accept or reject ideas based on who had them. You can kind of see how they're connected there. It's connected to the person attached to the idea, the proposal, the project, whatever particular situation we're talking about. Both of them are connected to evaluating ideas or arguments or projects or goals based on the people who offer them or the people who have them in some way, shape, or form. We can connect ideas with the person who has them, and because there's something we like or don't like about them, we can either then like or not like their ideas without fairly evaluating the idea on the merit of itself, or evaluating the results on the merit of the results itself. We attach it to the person instead. And both of these ideas can be a problem for us, because both ad hominem ways of thinking or genetic ways of thinking or arguments or perspectives can creep into how we evaluate ideas and people and situations, can pollute the way we think about it, and then can get in the way of talking like a leader. They can interfere with the ability to communicate clearly and concisely in ways that move our organization in a positive direction. Both of them tend in the direction of more judgmental and subjective type of thinking rather than objective and descriptive sort of thinking. As a result, they make it difficult to hear what a person is saying and fairly and objectively evaluate their ideas or proposals. Also, when these ways of thinking or talking creep into our leadership communication, from the perspective of the person listening to our communication, especially if we're talking about their idea, it can feel like an attack rather than a conversation. And then it can limit our ability to have an open, honest dialogue with the person. So where can they show up? Where can ad hominem thinking or problems or arguments, or where can genetic thinking or comments creep into our conversation? Well, they can show up in coaching conversations. They can show up in conflict resolution situations. They can show up in project and goal planning sessions. They can show up in project update meetings as we're talking about project status, those kind of things. And we want to be aware of them so they don't creep into how we talk. Some examples of ad hominem kind of comments would be, well, that's a dumb idea, or that's a stupid idea. And unfortunately, if you think about dumb and stupid, those words tend really to talk about people. And when we attach the word dumb or stupid to the word idea, we might think that we're disconnecting it from the person, and we're not. When we attach a word like dumb or stupid to an idea or a proposal, the person hears it as attached to their intelligence. It becomes, whether we mean it to or not, it becomes an ad hominem attack. And so our comment about the thing using the person descriptor feels like it's talking about the person, and it tends to trigger negative response. Another idea would be like the genetic assignment of value or merit would be something like this. Well, that's just Bob, or Bob's always frustrated by blank, or something like this. Attach it to a piece of the organization or a different part of the business. We say something like, well, you can't trust marketing, and for marketing, you could substitute safety, HR, production, quality control, legal, whatever. Some department that isn't yours say, that's just marketing. They don't know anything about blank. And because the idea came from marketing or HR or safety or legal or production, we discount it. Because there's something they have done or said in the past that frustrates us, we assume everything that they say or do is going to frustrate us. Because one idea at some point in time didn't work out or didn't apply to a situation, we assume all ideas will never work out or never apply to the situation. Basically, we discount the idea or ignore it because of its source. We don't fairly consider the value of the idea on its face. We just discount it because of the source. That's a genetic fallacy. We want to be careful of that as leaders. So let me give you an example. This is unrelated to work. I think it just kind of points the idea to realize that a personal like or dislike for something has nothing to do with whether the idea is good or bad. That's a personal like or dislike. For example, this is in the design world, home design specifically. I don't really like open shelves. I see it on design shows and DIY television programs and on YouTube channels. I see it all kinds of places. I see it in some of my friends' houses. Frankly, I don't like open shelves. I don't like the dust they tend to collect. I don't like the grease that's likely to get on the pots, pans, plates, display items, whatever happens to be on the open shelf. It's going to get dust on it, and it's probably going to get cooking grease on it and possibly some cobwebs. So what happens is, because I don't want to do the maintenance necessary to take care of open shelves so they look good, I don't like open shelves. Well, that's really a comment about how I want to live my life and the effort I want to put into things. If you like making sure everything is nice and neat on your shelves and you don't mind dusting them frequently or cleaning them when they get grease on them, if that doesn't disturb you, and the value of the appearance of open shelves exceeds the cost of doing the maintenance necessary to have them stay clean and fresh looking, well, great. Then it's good for you. The thing is, I don't want to do that maintenance. And so what happens is, because I don't want to do the maintenance, that means that I don't like open shelves. And an easy way to drift in this, to turn it into an ad hominem way to talk about it, is to say, well, that's a dumb idea. And see, what I've done is I've attached the dumb or stupid or crazy are words historically that are attached to people. And when I attach it to the design idea, I basically have said that the person who liked open shelves or designed open shelves is a dumb person because that was a dumb design idea. Therefore, the person who came up with it is dumb. Well, the truth is, I don't like them. They're not dumb. I just don't like them. Why do I not like them? Because I don't want to do the work. Okay, it's a personal preference, not an absolute statement. And unfortunately, because of the natural way our brains work, because of psychological pressures and processes that are natural to human beings, if we're not careful, we drift in the direction of assigning negative intent or negative value to things that just don't have value to us. And we want to be really careful of that from a leadership perspective. So personal dislike doesn't make something good or bad. It's just a personal dislike. Here's a work example. Let's say you're in a meeting of some kind, a cross-functional meeting, and a person in a different department proposes some direction in business that is going to cost you or your department extra work. It would be easy to evaluate the idea or to assign value to the idea based on what it's going to cost you. And like me with the shelves, if I don't want to do the extra work involved with the idea, I might just say, that's a dumb idea or that's a stupid idea. What I really need to do is evaluate the idea based on the cost benefit analysis, based on the overall results it might achieve for the organization, not necessarily based on the amount of work it's going to cost me. Now, do I think that it's fair to burden one department with work unnecessarily just because another department wants to see a result? No, I don't. I think you have to have balanced conversations across the organization. I don't have near enough time to get into that level of subtlety in this podcast episode. I want to stay at the high level and say that the idea isn't bad just because it causes me more work or causes my department more work. It could not have as much impact as other work we're doing. That might be true. It could cost us more than we're prepared to pay as a business. It might be that the cost benefit analysis or the cost benefit ratio isn't good. It might be that there's another way to achieve the same result that is easier and more cost effective. All of those might be true. And I want to keep the conversation on those things, on the cost benefit analysis, on the comparative cost of different ways of doing things, on the net impact on the business, not on whether it's a dumb or stupid idea or not. I want to stay out of ad hominem ways of talking about or evaluating the idea. So we get down to the idea. Just because I don't like the work or don't want to do the work, it doesn't make it a bad idea. It may or may not be a great idea or the best path forward for us because of the cost benefit analysis, because of the net impact on the business, because there's higher value work we need to be doing. Now that might be true. So we keep it off of the person or some kind of personal label attached to the idea and on the results or impact or cost or results for the business, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, this ad hominem way of looking at this single idea, I don't like the work involved, therefore it's a bad or dumb idea, can turn into genetic thinking in future meetings or in future conversations. Because they had an idea I didn't like one time, that means I don't like any idea they ever come up with. The single ad hominem interpretation becomes a lasting genetic fallacy way of thinking about the person or the department who has ideas or brings ideas to me or to my department. These are closely connected ideas. They are connecting our assessment of things we do or do not want to do, projects we do or do not want to pursue, connected to the person based on our past experience with them or our emotional reaction to them, rather than to really what is the benefit to the business or organization. And one thing I'm going to suggest is this. Like I said, this is a lighthouse episode. I don't mean to say that we can never find a situation where a person has a track record or a history of consistently getting bad results, and then we start to question their judgment on things and that sort of thing. I do acknowledge that happens. I'm suggesting that we want to be careful that we don't go too far in that direction too quickly, that we watch out for ad hominem ways of thinking about things, attaching our perspective or our thinking about an idea, our thinking about a project, our thinking about a business goal based on the person who proposed it, or attaching some kind of personal label to our evaluation of it, meaning that we use personal negative descriptors, stupid, dumb, crazy, to ideas or projects. The two ideas we're on guard for this week are ad hominem thinking and genetic thinking. Ad hominem thinking means we direct our thinking against the person rather than towards the idea or the result. And then genetic thinking, meaning that often because of the ad hominem thinking, we attach negative labels to ideas because of their source. We discount ideas because we don't like the source of the idea, rather than evaluating the idea on its face, on its merit, on its overall value to the business or the organization. Now, if we can look out for these ways of thinking, and like I said at the beginning, this is a lighthouse episode intended to say, hey, there are rocks here. Watch out. Watch out for having these creep into your thinking. It's a reminder to me too, to watch out so they don't creep into my thinking. If we can do that, if we can stay focused on impact of the business, if we can stay focused on solving problems rather than judging ideas, if we can stay focused on getting results rather than on attacking and judging the people who propose ideas or come up with goals and objectives, if we can stay focused on business objectives rather than personal issues, you can talk like a leader.
This has been the Talk Like a Leader podcast. You can listen to this show every week wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm Guy Harris, and thanks for listening.